Hello, this is Tom Kestler with Kestler Financial Group, and I want to introduce today a new tool just released by the Nexus Research Institute that's going to help registered reps and insurance agents maximize return for their clients and at the same time minimize risk. This is an efficient frontier tool, and for those of you that may not be familiar with the efficient frontier, this is what it looks like. Back in 1990, Harry Markowitz won the Nobel Prize for Economics with this simple little graph, or apparently simple little graph. And the idea is that if you have a client with a given risk tolerance measured along the horizontal scale here, that there is always an ideal combination of stocks and bonds that will give the maximum return. Return, again, is on the vertical graph. Give the maximum return with the minimum amount of risk. And what we as financial advisors have been doing over the years is if we meet a client whose portfolio is there, for example, at the X, what we can do is say, look, Harry, if you're comfortable with the amount of risk that you're taking in your portfolio, you're comfortable with this standard deviation of 11%, we can reallocate your portfolio, move it up to the efficient frontier, and actually get you about 100 basis points greater return just by blending the stocks and bonds properly. If, on the other hand, you're comfortable with your return and you don't want to take any more risk, we can reallocate in the other direction and lower your risk significantly, or lower the standard deviation significantly, without giving up any return. So that's the idea of the efficient frontier. And that's been pretty much the backbone of advisors planning over the last 20 years or so. And that's really an accumulation model. This is where people are going to put dollars, leave it sit, let it work, and that's for accumulation. And what we're starting to realize is that most of our clients, as they move into retirement, move away from the accumulation goal to the distribution goal, the rules, the products, the planning all changes, and the things we've been doing in the past aren't necessarily going to work as well for us in the future. So what the Nexus Research Institute has done is develop an efficient frontier tool that allows us to reallocate these dollars in a way that we can, again, more readily reduce risk and increase yield. So this is the Efficient Frontier tool. We have partnered with Ibbotson, one of the best-known names in the industry, and created a tool that makes it very easy to present to a client, very understandable, and takes a very complex concept and puts it into terms that they can understand. So once you access the tool, and this will be available on the Nexus website or through any of your internal wholesalers, all you really have to do is use the slide bar to come up with a dollar amount. So let's say you've got clients with $500,000 to work with. You slide the next bar and take a look at their current stock bond blend, kind of the traditional apples and oranges, if you will. And as you see, we move the bar along here and the dot changes. So we're gonna put it in a 40% equity, 60% bond position, which would be about where maybe a 60-year-old client would most likely allocate their assets. We select an age. In this case, we're going to use age 60. And then we have a choice. We can show an accumulation model for people who are still in the accumulation part of their life, or we can show an income model. So we're going to start with accumulation and then calculate the portfolio. So on the next screen, we see we've got that $500,000 client, but we see another figure on the graph here, and this is a remodeled portfolio using index annuities as an asset class. Again, we're not replacing all of their money. We're just saying, rather than using the traditional apples and oranges, stocks and bonds, let's blend a third asset class in there, stocks, bonds, and an index annuity, and let's see what it does to that portfolio. So if we say we're going to do a portfolio comprised of, say, 40% index annuities, we can slide the bar across, and as you see, the more index annuities we put in, the safer that portfolio gets, but the lower the yield is. Again, we move to the left, which is safety. The vertical axis is yield. If we go 100% index annuity, it's 100% safe, but there's really not a lot of growth. And if we go no index annuity, we're just sitting on the traditional apples and orange efficient frontier. So let's say we're going to put in a 40% index annuity blend. What that shows us then is the original portfolio would have had a 40-60 blend of equities and bonds and would have grown to $1,359,000 over 10 years. By reallocating 40% of that asset base, or $200,000, into an index annuity, we can reallocate those assets to a 36-24-40 blend, 40 being the annuity. And by doing that, we increase the accumulation over a 10-year period to $1.5 million. That's a $141,000 increase in account value, or a 10% improvement, while at the same time reducing risk, or standard deviation, by 13%. So as you can see, using an index annuity as an additional asset class, not a full replacement asset class, we're able to reduce the risk significantly, improve the return, and again, that's our main goal with our clients. So let's take this client one step further and assume they're at the point where they're going to move into retirement. They're going to switch over from accumulation to distribution. What does that new blend look like? If we click on Income with Rider button here, that recalculates it based on a withdrawal scenario using the same assumptions of $500,000 account, 40% annuity percentage. And notice what happens. Again, the blends stay the same that we had in our previous screen, but what we're looking at now is what is the residual wealth? How much money is left at the end of this accumulation or this distribution period? In the traditional portfolio, we had $449,000 left. In the new portfolio, using an index annuity, we have $780,000 left. That's a 74% increase in residual value just by using an additional asset class. And the important thing in here is we reduced the risk by 59%. That's a huge risk reduction. And the reason we can do that is an annuity by design is the only financial product that can provide an income you can't outlive. So you've mitigated against the longevity risk at retirement. And using the Nexus annuity design, our income rider has a cost of living adjustment built into it based on the CPIU, Consumer Price Index, the Urban Consumer Price Index, that will increase the payout every year. There is an increase in the CPIU up to a maximum of 10% in any 1 year and guaranteed for 30 years. So by blending in the index annuity as part of the portfolio, you can mitigate against inflationary risks, you can mitigate against longevity, and to the degree that dollars, in this case $200,000 out of the $500,000, is invested in an index annuity, you've also mitigated against a sequence of returns risk, which applies to the equity portion of the portfolio, and a sequence of bonds returns risk, which applies to the bond portion of the portfolio. So the idea is relatively simple. You, again, can blend in as much or as little annuity as you want in the portfolio to see what it does. And as you do that, you can see the efficient frontier actually shifting and the risk numbers changing. Pretty significant changes we can do. And it allows you the ability to blend in any dollar amount that you want using an index annuity as an asset class. So thank you for your time. I hope this was helpful. And feel free to give us a call if we can help with any of the calculations at all. Our number is 800-699-0299. So long.